Hello, world history students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have notes for South and Southeast Asia, Chapter 8, Section 3, Early Indian Empires. And we're going to start with talking a little bit about the caste system. And if you remember back to when we were talking about Hinduism, we talked about the Varna. And there are basically three upper layers to this and a couple bottom layers that we're going to mention here. But we have the Brahmin, who are the top of society. They're your religious leaders. You have the Kashitras, who are the warriors and your rulers, sometimes are soldiers. You have the Vaishyas, the merchants, and the artisans and the farmers. These are people that could be twice born groups. In other words, they can be reincarnated. Below that, we have the Sudras, or your workers and servants. And outside of the caste, sometimes known as the outcast or the untouchables, is a group that we refer to as the pariahs. Some of these people are untouchable, meaning that they're unclean to the other caste. They might be slaves or otherwise known as Dalits. So let's start with talking a little bit about the Mauryan. And the Mauryan Empire was able to unify India by building a large army with soldiers and chariots and war elephants. And it happened to conquer quite a few territories. The first key leader of the Mauryan Empire was Chandragupta Maurya, who was able to defeat one of Alexander the Great's generals. He built a strong, centralized government. His advisor was Kautilya, who you see pictured below there, who happened to be a Brahmin, but he helped Chandragupta divide his empire into districts and appoint loyal relatives and generals to rule over them. In 301 BC, he converted to Jain and left power. Ashoka, who we mentioned before when we talked about the spread of Buddhism, he was the grandson of Chandragupta. He became emperor in 270 BC and is considered to be one of India's greatest rulers. He continued to expand the Mauryan Empire, which included most of present day India. He did convert to Buddhism and began to promote the policy of right conduct and supported the spread of Buddhism. He founded hospitals, he dug wells, and he built roads, and hence he's known for being a great builder as well. The regional kingdoms that ruled India after the collapse of the Mauryan Empire were the Greco-Indian dynasties, the Kushan, the Andhra, and finally the Tamil, which was mostly in Ceylon, or what is now known as Sri Lanka. The Gupta Empire rose around AD 320 and reunited northern India and helped Hindu religion grow in popularity. Key rulers of the Gupta Empire were Chandra Gupta I, the founder of the Gupta dynasty, and he brought much of northern India under Gupta control. You have Samudra Gupta, the son of Chandragupta I, and he extended the empire to the north and east and conquered several small southern Indian kingdoms, and his son Chandragupta II, who expanded territory and strengthened the economy. Three major effects of the Gupta dynasty takeover of northern India were northern India was reunited, Indian society prospered, and finally, Hinduism was able to grow in popularity. The Gupta form of government was effective because the Gupta divided the main part of their empire into units. Royal officers governed each unit. In the more distant areas that they conquered, the Guptas governed through local rulers. The local rulers retained power but had to pay tributes or taxes to the Guptas and occasionally traveled to their court. The Gupta rule began to weaken around the AD 400s and ended around AD 550. And just a little Venn diagram to talk about the comparisons. Um, the Moran, for the most part, they had strict state control, they had spies, they were predominantly Buddhist. The Gupta, they were a little bit more relaxed. They were not harshly controlled. They had a lot of freedom, and they were predominantly Hindus. And as far as similarities, they had a large territory, they were prosperous, and they ruled kind of in the same location. Thank you very much.